too much spreading round in that Texas town. About to shut down. You know what I'm talking about. Just let me know.
Okay, folks, as we go through our panels today, if a question comes up, please kind of get your questions together, and we will be taking the old microphone around and getting questions from you folks as well. This is going to be a very informal sort of meet and greet here with all of these folks here today. So I want to start out on the end. Please introduce yourself, who you're with, and introduce yourself to our attendees, please.
First of all, Tim, Dennis, thank you for inviting us today. My name is Gene Cottingham. I co-founded Grand Solutions with my partner, Ruthie Forbes. We founded our company about 3 years ago. Both of us have quite a bit of motorsports history in our background. What we found was in the marketplace there seemed to be a niche kind of in that middle market where clients were looking for agencies that could help with motorsports management, event management, communications. So we kind of hit that niche pretty hard, and we've seen a lot of growth in the last 3 years, and we're just happy to be here in Indianapolis.
Now I have to follow that. I'm the other half, sort of. I'm Ruthie Forbes. I'm the second half of Grand Solutions. I need to apologize first and foremost for my bio photo. I not only support change and innovation, I live it. I got bored last week. Just saying, that happens a lot with me, actually. Yeah, for those who know me well are probably laughing right now. And that's actually one of the reasons why I stepped out on a limb and co-founded Grand Solutions. I think this year's 22 years in motorsports, I think, somewhere in that vicinity, which is why I dye my hair. And I really wanted to step out of the box and try to offer more innovative solutions for that niche market, that client group that needed to try to do something a little bit more cutting edge, a little bit more forward thinking, a little bit more ahead of the trend. So I'd spend quite a bit of time, focusing on creativity, how we can do what's next, and how we can make what's next affordable. So between the two of us, we're kind of an interesting combination of, as he calls me, on the fluffy end of the stick, and he is the business end of the stick. So that would be Grand Solutions in a nutshell. Oh, and I'm married to him. Sorry. Sorry.
You're sorry?
For you. I'm sorry for you. Not me, it's you.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Forbes. I am the Director of Engineering for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I think, for those of you who may wonder why there's an engineer up here, well, I think most of you realize that people that operate racetracks have to wear multiple hats. So besides designing and building things, I also have to manage the events there along with a very large team. So believe it or not, I actually have some event management experience.
Good morning. I'm Matt Gricci, Senior Manager of Events at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I've been at the Speedway for about 8 years now. Mainly in event management positions. Grew up around racing my entire life and interned at the Speedway before I started here full time. So.
And Matt was the 2013 Employee of the Year at Charlotte Motor Speedway, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Kevin, I want to lead off with you because I was out there for the NASCAR/Grand Am weekend, and I was amazed at the switchover and how easy it seemed to be to the fans and how seamless it was. How much work goes into pre-planning and how many man-hours into making that look as smooth as it was?
Well, let me first touch on something you just said, because I think that's a very key component of what all of us who are in the entertainment business need to do, and that is make what we do seamless. I think it's very important that when our customers come out to our facility, they do not see what we have to do to make their life enjoyable, to make the show what it is. So things that we do have to be seamless. And in that regard, and I think something else that I think we need to touch on is better utilization of our facilities. And so we saw Kroger Super Weekend as a kind of a trampoline into how we better utilize that facility. NASCAR approached us, we kind of approached each other and said, how can we make this weekend more beneficial, more prosperous, more enjoyable for the spectators, and that is, let's do something that's really not been done before. I think it's called, innovation. And it was, we have a road course, we have an oval, and we're going to start with an oval event, then we're going to turn it into a road course, then we're going to come back to an oval event, then we're going to turn it into a road course again, back to the oval. And seamless is the key, planning is the tool, man hours is how you do it. A lot of man hours. The major turnaround started at 8 o'clock at night, and we were done by 8:30 the following morning, about 5 minutes before NASCAR was ready to put cars on the track. There were about 100 people involved. There were 6 cranes. One of them was a 200-ton crane. There were 7 tractor trailers. I can just go on, and I don't want to bore these people with that, but yes, to make something like that seamless, and failure is not an option. You got to realize we have the facility set up in full road course mode, but the very next day was the Brickyard 400. It rained and stormed all night long, 4 inches of rain. All of that had to take place during the rain, during the storms, and so not only does it have to be seamless, but it absolutely has to happen.
And you did that other quick turnaround right in the middle of the day, which was phenomenal to me.
Yeah, for those of you who may not know, we actually went from road course to oval during the middle of the day. Now, again, it's all about planning, and it's trying to make it seamless. The people that are sitting in the seats did not come to watch us move tires and move barriers. They came to watch their heroes. So it's all about being on that track as little as possible, because we're not the show. So you plan it, you get with the NASCAR officials and you say, okay, can we make some concessions? And it's all about partnering. Can we make some concessions? Normally you wouldn't want this to be like this, but in order for us to go from road course to oval that quickly, or in this case from oval to road course, we may have to compromise a little bit. And so you look really carefully. You get everybody involved, and you make sure that what we do is still absolutely safe for the participants. You make those concessions so that you can get the time down to where it needs to be. You make the change.
Matt, Kevin was talking about facility utilization. I don't know if anybody does it better than Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now you got the drag strip. You've got the quarter mile for the Legends races, which are very popular. That seems to be a big struggle, trying to get signage in place and everything. What is the biggest challenge for a facility like Charlotte as far as getting the maximum amount of utilization, but doing it in a smart way?
Sure, I think, yeah, it's definitely maximizing your dates. We have a lot of events, and still racing's our core business, but we've got into diversifying our events. We've done car shows for many, many years, but we're getting into Christmas light shows that we run for 40 nights. So we're driving people on the track through Christmas lights. We did a 5K that we did in-house, so it's really diversifying our events. It's still a racing facility, but it's getting new folks there for different events has become key over the past couple of years when some of your racing attendance is down. So it's still using your facility in the right way.
One of the things that we've talked about throughout the year on Track Source Radio is all the new gadgets that are available to tracks to help promote them. And we've got the best gadget makers in town here with the folks from Grand Solutions. I'm going to throw this out and let whoever wants to take it of the dynamic duo here. How big of a challenge has it been with your track app? And tell folks a little bit about that as well. But how tough is it to keep fans educated on how to use these new tools that the tracks have available?
Well, very quickly, not long after we started our company 3 years ago, we were getting a lot of demand from clients on digital marketing, whether that was through their websites, email marketing campaigns, or through mobile apps. At the time, we saw 1 or 2 mobile apps in the marketplace for racetracks, and they were very broken. They were very clunky. They were very, unwieldy on the mobile device. So we sat down with a mobile app provider here in Indianapolis who's probably the largest in the Midwest. And first of all, we just broke it down. You know, we went to a good friend of ours, Eddie Gossage, and said, we'll build a pilot version of this for you for free. If you like it, you can buy it, but we want to make sure this thing works and it's efficient, it's effective. What we've learned since then is that that smartphone that's in most fans' pockets today is one of the most powerful ways to communicate with them. You can't do things like push notifications via your website. Your email marketing open rates are probably very low. But we're seeing communication channels open up now via the mobile applications that allow you to communicate things like ticket renewals, et cetera, schedule changes, even weather advisories, those sorts of things. And we're seeing open rates as high as 70% with some of our clients. And I don't know that there's a better way to communicate and have that sort of open rate than through that smartphone that's in their pocket. The other thing you realize is that the people that download those applications and keep them in their pocket are your most loyal consumers. And I think they're the ones that are going to spend the most money with you, buy ticket upgrades, that sort of thing. You can use the mobile app prior to the event to communicate to fans how to plan for the event, what they can expect when they get to the racetrack. You know, even creating a geo zone where when they enter a geo zone, they get a special message. You know, IMS is very good about creating different zones of their facility for, where to park, et cetera. You can communicate that via the app. Once they're on site, you communicate real-time information, whether it's timing and scoring updates, schedule changes, weather advisories, those sorts of things. And then after the event, you can have follow-up messages, results pages, that sort of thing. But it allows you to communicate in a lot of ways to help guide your fans either around your facility or to your facility or away from your facility.
I think Gene touched on it a little bit, and as most of you all know, it's, producing an event is not rocket science. The key word is communication. And that applies to, your own internal staff, as well as to how you can utilize technology to make it a little bit easier on you. But as you all know, especially those of you who have the fortunate opportunity to do a live broadcast at the same time, it's critical for everybody to know what everybody's doing, and it's critical for your sales staff to know what your facility's limits are, and what their capabilities are, and it's crucial for all of these people, the PR team to know what sales has done and what the promotions group and the marketing group is doing, so that everybody can sort of sing the same song and be able to communicate that effectively to your patrons. We focus a lot on how that communication gets spread out to your patrons. How can you drive your patrons around your facility? What are some good innovative ways? And we've discovered, especially with the mobile app, the new use of geozones, being able to welcome them before they even get to the facility. Hi, FYI, parking lot number 42 is now full and closed. Why don't you try parking lot 29? Being able to communicate these things in the case of a crisis situation. If you've got a rain issue, you've got lightning 7 miles out, you're worried about strike, being able to flash out a notification, hey, here's our evacuation zones. Here's the places you can go to escape. And that's just one, it's just another layer over and above your own internal communication PA system that you have going. And we found that it's innovative technology. It works. It, in most cases, can replace a fan guide in terms of, what your fans want to know, what you want to communicate to them. So, being able to stay ahead of the communication curve at your facility for any event you host, whether it's a concert, whether it's, Christmas and lights, whether it's, an actual black tie gala with a live broadcast component, being able to communicate that to your fans so that their experience, to what Kevin said earlier, is seamless. I've been to so many events that were epic failures, but they were huge fan successes because nobody saw anything that was happening behind the curtain. And that's another way you can actually, keep your communication seamless, is to utilize technology to make sure that, hey, look over here while we're falling apart over here. I've actually never done a 100% perfect event. Has anybody ever had a perfect event? Ever? I would really like to know this question. No, yeah, I have never seen one. I've never participated in one. I kind of call it triage. You just sort of let some of the stuff roll off your back. But the nice part about technology, as much as it can be a little bit of a headache, because everybody can take a photo of everything, including when your facility is falling asleep in a corner somewhere in terms of staffing, they can send that to you later on in life. So yeah, it can be a little bit of a hardship, but it can also be a really, really great, effective communications tool.
Kevin, from an engineering standpoint at the racetrack, what is the best strategy that you guys have learned for handling weather delays and weather problems?
As much information as we can get. And I think the best strategy for us is not only as much information as we can get, but as much information as we can give. Most of our fans, you know, they come from, you know, they pretty much live, the majority of them pretty much live in that region of the country. They understand that in 45 minutes the weather can change very quickly. And so we give them on our large screen videos, and thank goodness for that tool that we have. And I know most other racetracks use the same thing, but we immediately, if we see any kind of weather, anything that's potentially out there, we immediately put that radar image up on the screen. So now we've basically said, just with that image, that there's something out there that you may need to be aware of. And as that weather approaches and as it strengthens, we just keep reinforcing that image. As it gets even closer, now we start putting written messages on the board that now that the National Weather Service has informed us that there is a severe thunderstorm watch that has been issued, and potentially this weather could be in the Speedway area within the next 45 minutes, you may want to take some appropriate action. As it gets closer, as the watch turns into a warning, we immediately change that. We let them know that there is a warning, because what really is difficult is when you pull that trigger for an all-out evacuation. That is a very tough choice. There are a couple of things that we see. One, we could be evacuating people into an area that's worse than where they were. So we're kind of a big fan of shelter in place. Two, if we really feel that we do want to get people out of the stands, this has happened before, where the National Weather Service, all the models, all the radar images are saying that we are going to get severe weather. We evacuate everybody and it never turns out. And they are incredibly angry when we ask them to leave the facility that they came so far away to come to see an event that they've waited so long to see. We get them out of there and nothing actually turns up. Granted, everybody knows the unpredictability of weather, but they are very unforgiving because they think we're better. They think we've got things at our disposal, and quite frankly we do, but no matter what we have, it is still unpredictable. And so we get as much information as we can, we give out as much information as we can, because for the most part, people will make the right decision for themselves. People don't want to get soaking wet, and they don't want to get stuck in a parking lot that's muddy, so the majority of them, they'll go ahead and decide that, let's leave because it's kind of a long walk to our car and we could be doing that in rain or hail. So we kind of let them make the most of the decision. When it gets really dicey, then we start thinking about all of the laws of unintended consequences that we may break before we make that final decision.
Matt, from an event management point of view, the strategy of how you handle weather really is different at Charlotte Motor Speedway depending on what kind of events that you have.
Yeah, correct, it is. I think the main thing is letting the fans know, but letting your staff know too. Some of them don't have capabilities of seeing what's going on, so it's making sure they know the evacuation policy, when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And correct, every event's different. Not all our events actually take place with fans in the grandstand, so it's finding shelter, finding safe places in all your events. So I think our evacuation policy depends on the event, specific to what it is. Not every event is going to be the same for us.
And we're the track apps that you guys have built are an excellent communication tool. And I think, that's great when things are wonderful and you're a beautiful sunny day, but it's even more important when it's bad weather. That tool's not just for the big boys. Every track can afford this technology and put it to use for them.
Yeah, we, when we first got into that marketplace, it was pricier, much pricier than it is now. As we've worked with, specifically with our development team, they have found ways to provide to, tracks with smaller budgets a lighter weight version of a mobile app where they can at least use the most important components, to put the schedule up there, to put a track map up there, and enable them to do the push notifications. That's available for, what I consider a paltry sum of money. I know it's a lot for some of the shorter tracks, but, if you have a facility that has, several major events in a year, then you should be considering this as another communications tool, again, to your most important consumers.
Folks, do you have any questions for our panel? Put my track shoes on and I'll be right there. Please introduce yourself too.
Sandy Hang here. Question for Gene and Ruthie. You mentioned with the apps you have a push notification acceptance of about 70%. Where is that line between helpful push information and spam? And you did not mention what your dump rate is, which is people who get so pissed off at the app that they say, bye-bye, what's going on there? And I have a second question. You're done. Go ahead.
The push notification thing is a very interesting feature of smartphones, and for those of you that don't know what that is or maybe haven't ever downloaded an app that has that, when you download the app, you opt into the app developer having the ability to send you what's sort of like a text message that'll pop up on your phone. What we've seen is actually a very low dump out rate because, again, these are your most loyal fans. What you have to be careful of is, the mobile app is just an extension of your current marketing and communications policies. If you don't want to annoy your fans with a lot of emails, then you don't want to do it with the app. But, the most successful tracks that we work with, they're communicating on a fairly regular basis, every couple of weeks leading out from a major event. They're sending out key information, keeping it lightweight in nature, not, over-informing them or bugging the crap out of them to buy more tickets. But you just realize it's an extension of your current communications policies.
I'm a numbers person. What's the score on the dump rate?
Well,
are you at 10%?
No, it's less than 10% for our customers. It's more like around 6 or 7 last time I looked at it.
Thank you. That's helpful. I had another question for Kevin and Matt. This issue of overcapacity, we're all watching the major speedways now get rid of seats, and that addresses the spreadsheet problem of the numbers. But what if anything is being done on your end to address and think about the relationship problem? When, for example, when so many fans used to camp together in the same area, or for years they always had seats by the same people. They may not only see them but once a year. It's been like a relationship bomb that's happened to these people when the ticketing package has changed. Are you working on, what if anything are you doing to maybe try to bring those people, the kumbaya moment, back together?
That's an excellent question, and it's a very tough problem to solve. Unfortunately, that's a dual-edged sword, right? This is pretty much what's probably been one of the reasons for the downfall in attendance because, 20 years ago, kids, when they were 14, 15, 16, all they wanted was a car. Now all they want is one of these. And certainly that's like 6 or 7 by now. So this has become kind of a dual-edged sword for us. Technology is probably one of the things that's caused motorsport attendance to decline, and it's also, I think, what we need to bring back. But to answer your question, because of that reduced attendance, is it does force us to reduce inventory and seating, and how do you treat those customers? And clearly, because of the reduced attendance, you can't afford to lose any more because now you've separated those long-term ticket holders that were always together. We simply do everything we can with direct communication with either emails or phone calls and talk to those people first before we ever make a decision to reduce seating capacity is, can we solve that problem before we do that? So that's one of the things that we do. Granted, anytime there's reduction in seating capacity, you are going to upset and or lose some of those customers, and that's one of those balances that you have to try to work on with the business model. It's an excellent question.
Yeah, and I'll expand on that a little bit. We've done it several times at Charlotte Motor Speedway now, where we either expanded seats and reduced capacity that way, or taken seats out. It's direct communication. It's mainly all phone calls to the folks that we're affecting directly. So it's providing a solution for them before we even talk to them. Know what a couple options are, best case scenarios, and a lot of our ticket agents are very personal with their ticket buyers. So they already know what they're looking for before they call them. If they're longtime fans, we know who they are. So it's finding the best solution for them, knowing it's not ideal on their end, but it's accommodating them best we can.
Tim, do you have some questions for the panel?
Yeah, just it was a comment, and we had Sandy brought up in regards to the mobile apps. Last year's session, we had a whole panel on mobile apps. It was actually quite fascinating. What is interesting is we talked about the fan use of the mobile apps, but I encourage you, while we're here, we have some people here from Race Monitor and Karting Coach, and then a new app which will be coming out called Race Hero. And we've talked about the fans using the mobile apps, but the use of the mobile apps to keep use of for timing and scoring is huge. So that's another component of the mobile space that is out here. So I would definitely go through and talk into that thing then. One question I have is, we talk about utilization. Matt, how many days a year, or what kind of metric do you use down at Charlotte to say this is how busy you are?
We have something going on every single day, whether it's a small meeting, whether it's a large concert. We have over 400 events across 3 facilities a year. So there's something going on every single day, with multiple things usually going on each day. So it's dirt track, self-dragway. Probably World Finals is a great event for us at the dirt track, but it's probably our busiest weekend across the board. We have 2 or 3 events going on at the Speedway at that time. We've got rentals at the dragway going on that time. So it's using all 3 facilities at the same time, and we also got a Speedway Club, so that's doing banquets and meetings and dinners in there as well.
Kevin, what about the Speedway there?
You know, it's amazing. I started working at the Speedway when they were hosting one event, and that's all they did was the Indianapolis 500. Now, granted, it was a large event, but really, it's also a 1,000-acre campus. And so to use 1,000-acre campus and all the infrastructure for one event, obviously we realized back then that something had to change. So we've gone from basically one event. Now, you know, Matt's blessed with better weather than we are, but I will tell you right now that if there's not snow on the ground, or if it's not below 30 degrees, we have events out there. So we've gone from 1 to hundreds of events at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I will tell you, you will only see that get much bigger as we realize that more utilization of that much real estate and that much infrastructure has to increase in order to stay in business.
Okay, great. So anyways, that's just it. I want to thank these guys for the event management panel coming out for it. And we're going to try to keep our event on time most of the day. But at the end, there is an open bar that we'll see about going through then. So thank you very much, guys, for being here. And gals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know what I'm talking about. Just let me know if you're gonna go to that whole mile on the range. They got a lot of nice girls.